Hello everyone, I'm Pap. Thank you for joining me for this first episode of my tutorial on Sorare. I'm not quite sure how many episodes there will be, but the objective or the ambition of this tutorial is to tell you everything you need to know about this very promising platform. This first episode will cover a brief overview of Sorare. I will show you around, and in the last part, I'll make an in-depth presentation of blockchain cards. So let's get cracking. Sorare is quite unique in the fantasy football world because the player you use on a weekly basis can be purchased and can be traded on a real marketplace. That means that you can sell your players and take the money out. The players take the form of digital cards which are in limited supply, and the ownership as well as the rarity is guaranteed by the blockchain. There are other companies in the market that have launched a product with a similar model, but in my view, Sorare is the only credible one because they have the largest number of officially licensed clubs, including top European clubs. So to name a few, in Portugal, Benfica and Porto, Valencia and Atletico in Spain, Juventus and Napoli in Italy, Lyon and Lille in France, West Ham, and every week or so since the beginning of 2020, there's been a new club announcement. On the back of this success on the licensing side, Sorare have attracted a growing user base, and despite the company is only 1 year old, as of the end of February 2020, there were over 600 users owning at least one blockchain card for prices ranging from €2 to €2,000. And if you include the users playing in the weekly tournaments with non-blockchain cards, you get to over 1,100 active users on the platform. A quick word on myself before we move on to the demo. I've been one of the early adopters, and I came in March 2019 without any background in cryptocurrencies. What I found attractive about this platform was the proposition of scout, play to win prizes, and trade. I played intensively for almost a year, and I believe I was a good player even if I was never the best player. There are different ways to play on this platform, but bottom line, it requires money. And the less money you want to invest, the more time you need to spend. I was never a whale in this market, but I invested a lot of time. I used the opportunity of a favorable market in February to sell most of my cards, and I now focus on research, in particular on the economy of this platform. However, I thought that the knowledge I had accumulated over the months could be valuable to you, because there are many things that can be bought on this platform, but not experience. I've just created a new account called Flipper, with a Twitter account associated with it, in order to record all steps of the onboarding and also to be able to share tips and provide strategic insights based on my own experience on the platform. To be clear, this account is not intended to provide any financial or investment advice. This is also an opportunity for me to remind you that multi-accounts are not allowed on Sorare. So I committed to make no transfer between my accounts except to illustrate the procedure for the purpose of this tutorial. I committed not to bid on the other accounts auctions and not to submit any teams in the same division. Now let's have a look at what's happening when you first sign up. Please bear in mind that Sorare is still in its beta form, so everything you'll see may look very different in a month from now. So you land on the transfer market page, which is effectively the home page of the website. And in this section, new auctions are organized and managers put their cards for sale. In My Gallery is where all your cards are usually stored. For the moment, my gallery is empty because I just joined. The SO5 Fantasy section is where you submit your teams for the weekly tournaments and you can see the results. And finally, the FAQ is a very important section because this is where you'll find most of the answers to your questions. Going back to my gallery, I will redeem my 10 common cards. So common cards are not blockchain cards. They cannot be sold, they cannot be traded, and they have no value except for you to start playing in the SO5 fantasy tournaments. So when you join, you receive 10 randomly distributed cards, which may take a while to be printed. Here you can see that only 9 appear, so just be patient for a couple of minutes sometimes. It's an opportunity for me to tell you that I will go through the sections in more details in future episodes. This one was just a very brief overview of your first steps on the platform. Once we are in the gallery, I can show you that you can personalize your club by changing the name, maybe adding a picture. And for the rest of the settings associated with your account, it's accessed by clicking on your username. So you see the setting, you also have your personal pages with your auctions, your direct offers, your favorite players, and so on and so forth. I'll explain all of this in more details later on. The fact that Sorare relies on blockchain cards makes it really unique. So let me tell you a bit more about these blockchain cards. As we've seen before, when you join, you receive common cards that are not blockchain cards. They cannot be traded. They are free and randomly distributed upon signing in, and they are designed to help new joiners to get familiar with the SO5 fantasy platform. On the other hand, you have the tradable blockchain cards that can be sold on Sorare's marketplace. They can be withdrawn on the Ethereum blockchain and stored in a wallet and sold outside the platform, and they can be used on other platforms in the future if third-party developers come up with new ideas. There are 3 different scarcities of blockchain cards. The red ones are called the rare cards. They are up to 100 per annum, and the supply is controlled by the Sorare team. The blue ones are called super rare cards. They are only up to 10 per annum, and again the supply is controlled by Sorare. And finally, you have the black ones, which are unique cards. A question we often get is what happens at the end of the season. To be clear, these cards do not expire, which means that cards from previous seasons remain valid and can be used. If a player changes club and moves to a league that is covered by the Opta stats, he is still eligible for the weekly tournaments. No new cards are issued if he moves to a club that is not under license, otherwise there could be a new version. And Osimhen is a good example of this because you can see a unique card from his season in Charleroi in 2018-19 and a unique card from his season in Lille in 2019-20. Small icons below the cards will tell you if the player is in his current club and in the current season, and you'll notice that the cards have slightly different designs to be differentiated visually between the different seasons. Sometimes the players become ineligible, in particular when they are transferred to exotic leagues or when they retire, because there are currently no use cases for these cards. There is no gameplay value because they cannot be used in the SO5 tournaments. The cards, however, retain their collectible value. I mentioned exotic leagues. Chinese league is covered by Opta, so players being transferred to China continue to be eligible. In the examples here, you have on the left side Johan Boli, who was transferred from Saint-Tron to Qatar at the beginning of 2020, and on the right side, Mbalay, who retired at the end of last year. Now, let me show you what a blockchain card is in practice. So when you get on the cards page, you see a summary of the attributes associated with these cards, including level, including power. Just below, you have summary of the past scores in weekly tournaments. You have the details of the attributes. You have the history in terms of trading, and you can click on the players page to get more information, in particular around the last 5 games. You'll see the detailed stats. Below that, you have information on the player's career and the whole supply of cards. If you want to see all the cards, you can go in the cards section where all of them will be listed. Here you can see that 2 of them are on the market, sold by managers, and one of them is currently in auction. So if I want, I can place a bid. I will scroll down through the cards to see if there is interesting information for you. Here you see the envelopes, which mean that the card was traded bilaterally between managers. You can use the filters. I click on uniques to only see the 2 uniques, which I've already presented to you before. So let's go through this again. On top, you have the summary of the card attributes: the card level, the season bonus, the fidelity bonus, the eligibility for U23 competitions, and the icon to say whether the player is retired or playing for a non-covered league. All of this is relevant for SO5 competition, and I will explain it later. The card power is also relevant for scoring in the fantasy tournaments. You have a button to withdraw your cards to the external wallet. This is only available for super rares and unique today. You have a button to put your card on the market, and you have a summary of the player scores in the last 5 games. Keep an eye on the dates, because if a player was not in group during a specific game, the game will not show in this list. DNP means that the player did not play, and therefore he received a score of 0. Further down the cards page, you have the details of the card attributes, which are self-explanatory. You have the unique blockchain ID of the card, and you have the trading history of the card. One last point in relation to something I've mentioned during the video presentation of the blockchain card. The last trading price of a specific card is reported below the card, but it often shows at 0. When you see an icon representing a cup, it means that the card was won as a reward in a weekly tournament. The envelope means that the card was traded bilaterally between 2 managers through direct offers, and when you can actually see the price, it means that the card was purchased on the market, either via an auction or on the trade market. I am sure you're excited to know more about rewards, direct offers, and the trade market, but this will be in the future episodes because we've reached the end of this first episode. I'll let you digest all this, and next time I'll walk you through the gaming arena. I'll explain you how to use your cards to hopefully win prizes. In the meantime, if you're interested in signing up and want to win a free rare card, you can use my referral code and follow the steps explained below this video. Thanks for joining, and see you next time.